And this is why I show up every day, rain or shine, just like the mailman. Doesn't matter if I'm sick, doesn't matter if I have COVID, the flu, whatever. I show up. Honestly, even when I've had a fever, I take some Tylenol and I show up. And then I'll rest later in the day. Because here's the deal. Showing up every single day is important because you just never know when you're going to have that big move. Now today, right now, is the biggest green day of the entire year. If I miss just today, or I miss 5 other days this year that all had the potential to be big green days, that all of a sudden can affect my year in a really big way. So I show up every day, rain or shine. Is it easy? Well, maybe not, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot easier than a lot of other things I could be doing. There's a lot of people that go to work sick, swinging a hammer up on a roof, and this is certainly not as difficult as that. Now, I'm not saying trading is easy because it's not. I would say it's one of the hardest cushy jobs in the world. It's a very cushy job, sitting in an air-conditioned, climate-controlled space, very comfortable, but it is hard mentally. That's the challenge. All right, so let's get into the screen share. Let's start breaking it down. Today, I crushed it. I'm up $278,459.35. That's a record breaker day for the year. That is a great start to the month of June. I don't know. I mean, last month I did almost $1 million of trading profit. This month, I kind of have a goal of $1 million. I know that that's high, but at this point, now I'm 27% of the way there on day one. I think it's achievable. And of course, I'm going to be showing up every day this month. I'm not going to miss a day. So I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the best that I can to capitalize on the momentum we're seeing in the market. And, it'll be what it is. If we keep getting action like we got today, it'll be a great month. So it's sort of out of my control, but I can control that I show up every day, and I can control how much I'm willing to risk. Today, I took more risk. That shouldn't surprise you. Now, you can see right now we've got 3 stocks up over 100%. Mullen is a reverse split, so that kind of doesn't count. LYRA, which is a stock I made almost $100,000 on this morning, has news of a, let's see, let me pull this up. So their headline this morning was clinical trials, positive results from phase 3 for a treatment of chronic sinusitis. I'm like, this is great. I hope this company gets this thing out the door because I could really use it. Anyways, so small cap biotech stock. We know that catalyst tends to work well. And then INM traded this one. It's up 147%. And then I had a number of others I traded. I traded 2, 4, 5 stocks today. I'm big green on 3. I'm break even on 1, and I'm red on 1 stock today. So I did have one that I was red on. So I mean, look, easy come, easy go. Today, I started the day actually a little frustrated because I missed my first trade, and that had me annoyed. Sometimes that feeling of missing a trade, gives you a little frustration, a little FOMO, and then you're a little more aggressive on the second trade, well, which is your first trade, but whatever. And I think that was the case today for me. And it was a market where it was a great time to have that little kick in the butt to be a little more aggressive because this market has just been so hot. Now, having that same level of aggression on a day that's a little colder, well, that might not have paid off so well. All right, so let's go back to the first stock that was on the scanners this morning. Let's see. So there's my P&L, as you can see right now. But coming into, let's see, now I've lost track of things. So there was BMGL, but I'm going to have to go back on the scan because that's not the stock I'm thinking of. So this BMGL was off my watch list from yesterday. Uploaded that for you guys on YouTube and basically said that I liked it, but it had to break over a couple of these levels, 544, and then right there, 568, and then we'd be looking for a new high. Oops, the high right up here. And you got that right at 4 a.m. A pullback, a squeeze higher, a dip, a pop. Connected the high here with the high here to create this ascending resistance line. Now we pull that forward. So you go to auto, full screen. Oops, sorry. And so at about 7 a.m., it squeezed up right here. It was actually just before 7 a.m. So I missed this trade. I did not end up taking that trade right there. You got that nice squeeze, but ended up missing it. So and it went right into resistance, unfortunately. So I did not take the trade on that one, but I'm going to roll back on the scanner to, let's see, 7 a.m. So here we go. So there was BMGL that popped up. And then we had LYRA, which I said, no, I don't like that. Float's too high on it. And then we had INM. All right, so this is the stock that I actually made the most on this morning. However, I missed my first trade on it. I was pretty annoyed. All right, so let's look at that first trade. Okay, so it pops up, as you can see right here, at 650. So it pops up, pulls back, pops up, drops all the way back down to 325. So right here at this spot, I was thinking, should I take a trade on it? And I said to myself, this looks good for an entry right here at 375. Target is 435. However, I looked at the daily chart and I noticed the 200 moving average was right here at 464. And I thought, that's a little close. And I also said to myself, what's the catalyst? I couldn't figure out what the catalyst was. I could not see any news on it. Now, the move actually started at 4 a.m. We'll go to auto here. So 4 a.m. it pops up, then it goes sideways, and then right here at 650 it pops up again. Because of the 200 EMA and because of no news, I said, I don't know. I'm just not sure. Well, sure enough, that would have worked, and I missed it. And that thing squeezed from 390 to 520. And I was like, gosh, darn it. Now that is annoying. So I ended up buying on this micro pullback right here. It hits a high of 490. It dips down here, and I added right there for the break of 5. It goes up to 540, and I'm in at about 490. I don't take any profit off the table. I said if this breaks 550, I'm going to add for a squeeze up to 6. So I'm being aggressive because it had already made such a big move. I thought that made sense. It dips down here, and I end up stopping out break even. So, well, I stopped out with $700 of profit, but that for me was more or less break even. I had 20,000 shares. I think it was 20. Was it 25? Let's see. It was 25,000. And I actually added at 524, so it was 26,000, 27. So I was really bummed out on that. I was up $7,000 unrealized, didn't take it off the table, stops me out. Gosh darn it. It ends up coming back up right here. I'm watching it. I don't take that trade. It ends up going without me. So I got myself a little annoyed, missing INM. And then LYRA hits the scanner. So LYRA hits the scanner. And in basically an instant, this thing pops, as you can see here. This is ridiculous. It goes from 6 up to 8. It pulls back, goes up to 950, pulls back, and it squeezes up to 14. It dips down, and I bought the dip right here at 1381. It goes up to 14, to 15, and to 16, and I took first profit right there. Then it pulls back right through here, and as it dips down in this area, I end up buying back. We end up getting a squeeze on this up to 18 and 19. Wow, that's awesome. Now it does this topping tail right here. I take my profit and I say, that looks like a gravestone doji, shooting star. It pulls back, it rallies back up, and it rips through 29. Unbelievable. And it dips, and I got in on this micro pullback right there, and we got the squeeze there up to a high of $39.58 a share. From $6 to $39 in 20 minutes. That's unbelievable. That is a fantastic move. Made about $93,000 total on the stock. I wasn't, not the biggest profit stock I've ever had. Unfortunately, was chasing it kind of from the beginning. It just pulled away so quickly. I was breaking the ice, getting a cushion, taking profit quickly, getting back in, getting out, getting back in, actively trading it and riding the momentum. But I was never really, able to get a grand slam type of trade on it because it was just got too extended and too expensive with spreads that were too big too quickly. And that made it hard for me. I did trade it after the open right up here, was hoping for a squeeze through the high. That didn't happen. It is what it is. Gave back a little profit off the top, maybe 2,000 or 3,000. So that was LYRA. Now, when LYRA reversed right here, we peaked and then it reversed. And so that was at about 726. So at that point, I was like, all right, what's next? So this was LYRA hitting the scanner, squeezing up, squeezing up, squeezing up. So right off the scans. By the way, for those of you guys that have not ever done a 2-week trial at Warrior Trading, I would encourage you to do it. It's $20. During your 2-week trial, you'll get access to the same exact scanners that I'm using every day. So all the stocks I traded, I found off our scanners. Now, you have to learn how to use them, and you got to be picky. I don't just trade anything that hits the scanners. I learn the stocks that meet my 5 pillars of stock selection, or I would encourage you to learn them. I adhere to that as I'm looking for stocks to consider day trading. And so when LYRA hit the scanner, initially I was like, breaking news, it's a biotech stock, squeezing up really quickly, and I'm going to jump on the momentum. Set a stop, and it's not a live stop because it's pre-market, but I'm going to send a mental stop, and then let's let it ride, and let's see what I can do. Get some profit, get back in, get some profit, get back in, actively trading it. And that's exactly what I did. So, and of course, during your trial, you can actually listen to my commentary. But I don't want you to try to blindly follow me, because I want you to remember that I've been doing this for a long time. I discourage people from signing up to any type of alert service where you just blindly follow, whoever's trading, whether it's with text alerts or email alerts, whatever. That's not the way to, it's just not the way to be a successful trader. You're always going to be dependent on someone else. The reason I trade is because of self-sufficiency, and I think that's what attracts a lot of you to trading. So you've got to really focus on learning the system, learning the strategy, and practicing in a simulator to prove you can make money on it before you put real money on the line. All right, so LYRA starts dropping at 726, and at that point, all of a sudden, what hits my scanner? Let me roll this back. So this is my running up scanner. This is searching for stocks that are popping up in real time. Doesn't need to be hitting a high a day, but needs to be popping up. So INM hits the scanner right here. Hits 4 times in 5 seconds, right there. 437, 440, right there. So it hit the scanner, and actually hit the scanner right here too. I pull it up, and I said to myself, you know what? This looks like it could be a break of VWAP setup. So break of VWAP is the volume weighted average price. And it had already tested it once, pulled back, and came up again. And because of the fact that LYRA was fading, I thought that attention might likely shift to our second leading gainer on the day, which, to be honest, is actually a better stock for my preference because it's more affordable, it's cheaper. So I got in for the break of VWAP right there. First target was 530, 550. So this level right up here. Was looking for that level to break, and then 575, which was actually the high. It breaks that level. I add for the squeeze through 6. It goes straight to 7. Micro pullback goes up to 750, goes up to 8, goes up to $9 a share. Unbelievable. Right there, we get $4 a share, almost $4.50 a share. So I made a bulk of my profit right there on that trade. And then it pulls back a little bit. This was the bulk of my profit on IMN, which was 140,000. It then pulls back a little bit, and then it kind of rallies back up. Now, someone asked Ross, if you were doing a small account challenge, what would you be doing differently? And the truth is, the only thing that would be really different would be my share size. I would still be taking generally the same setups. I just would be making less money in a small account because I'd be trading with smaller size. But I'd be taking the same setups. I don't hold overnight. I don't do that in a big account. I don't do it in a small account. I'm not taking really high. These are all risky in the perspective and scale and, kind of thought of day trading as risky. But I'm not buying like options and just holding and like lottery ticket type of trades. These are all pretty well calculated. And I would do the same thing in a small account. So anyways, this pops up, it pulls back, I get that fantastic trade. Ended up getting a couple more dip trades in this area. Was hoping for a squeeze through the high. Didn't happen. Ends up pulling back a little bit. So that starts pulling back. And I'm watching the scans. LYRA hits the scanners. Don't take a trade on it. WETO hits the scanners. This one hits the scanner. And this one is a blue sky setup above 428. And I knew that. $300 million treasury, cryptocurrency, headline that I wasn't sure about, but I took a trade on it anyways. And on this one, we got a squeeze from about, 450 here, up to 5, up to 6, up to about 7. So I got some profit on that, $58,000. At this point in the day, being aggressive with share size because I have such a big cushion. So took big share size on that, made $58,000 on it. It pulls back, ends up having more selling than I'd like. And that was sort of the first caution flag because it ended up doing mostly a round trip. So in spite of the news, it comes back down quite a bit. So then I'm watching scanners, APLD, floats too high, don't trade that. IMCC, I see it, but the price is a little higher, spreads are a little bigger. It also does a round trip. So caution flag. NIVF, I get in this one, I get out break even, 25,000 shares, made $68. So I think it was 25,000. So yeah, something like that. So anyways, anyway, it doesn't work, ends up rallying back up later, which is good. But that was another little caution flag. And then KIDZ floats a little higher. SONM, not enough volume. GWH. This one, this one didn't work. Float was fine, but price was a little lower, light on volume. IRD, higher float. IRTT or ITTR, this one, lower price. Oh, actually, price is fine. Slightly higher float, lower volume. No trades on it. BMGL, crowded, was kind of left alone. And then we ended up having, so MINM didn't end up hitting that scanner, but it was up quite a bit on the day, as you could see here from yesterday or from Friday, pops up to 16. I took a trade on it right here, break a VWAP setup, and caught a jackknife on that, lost 12 grand. So peaked at 285,000 on the day, and then gave back 12 grand off the top. After that, I made back a little profit that I lost with a couple more trades on LYRA and a couple more trades on INM, but I never got back to 285. So that was my high water mark just before that trade. And then coming into the open, I did get a couple more trades on LYRA and INM, but things kind of slowed down. So we got, and again, like I said, at the open, all of a sudden the spreads got bigger. Why are they getting bigger? And I think it's because of high frequency trading algorithms and the market makers, because market orders at the open create more volume, yes, but it's at any price. So the market makers, I feel like, are keeping the spreads bigger to make a bigger profit off of the spread with the market order. Because all of a sudden at the open, we're seeing spreads get bigger in spite of volume going up. That doesn't make sense unless there's some motivation there. And that's what I think. So I ended up taking my last trades going into 10 a.m. and I'm sitting here with a fantastic day. I'm grateful for it. And I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. This is my routine. I show up every day, rain or shine. I put in my 2 hours, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 3 hours, whatever. And I'm grateful. I've got the rest of the day today to rest my voice and hope I feel better tomorrow. It is unfortunate that I have this problem with laryngitis. I get a regular cold and then it turns into this for like a week. But, it is what it is. And but it's not stopping me from showing up. This market is too hot to not show up every day. So those of you guys who have been sitting on the sidelines, I'm going to urge caution. Jumping in the middle of a hot market can be a quick ticket for losing money if you don't know what you're doing. So I would encourage you, rather than just throwing real money in the market and doing some lottery ticket trades and hoping you get a big win, pace yourself. The market's not going anywhere. Yeah, we're in a hot streak right now. It'll cool off, and then there'll be another hot streak. It's always like that, ebb and flow, up and down. So you got to pay your dues. You've got to learn a strategy. You've got to prove you have the discipline to follow the rules of that strategy and prove that you can build a track record of profitability with that strategy. And you got to do all of that before you ever put real money on the line. So I'm going to tell you right now, my results are not typical, and you should not try to blindly follow me or anyone else. You got to pay your dues. But you know what? I'll help you do that. I'll teach you my strategy, and I'll give you a simulator where you can practice that strategy. Is it a guarantee that you're going to be successful? No. Do I see people out there telling you will guarantee make money? I do, and I don't think it's right. I don't do that. And my approach is really just being honest with you and telling you that trading is difficult. not in the sense of pressing the buttons or sitting in an air-conditioned room, but from a mental perspective. Mentally, it can be challenging to have the discipline to follow the rules in the face of the emotions that come with trading, the frustration and disappointment of loss, the fear and greed, the FOMO, everything. All of these emotions, and we still have to follow the rules of the strategy. So pay your dues, slow and steady. But if you want to watch over my shoulder, if you think you'd benefit from the real-time market commentary of a trader who's putting a lot of money on the line. I mean, I'm stepping up to the plate with conviction, and I'm, pulling back the curtain and letting you guys watch over my shoulder as you'd like. So if you find that interesting, check out the 2-week trial. All right. So that's it for me. Now, I did upload an episode over the weekend for free right here on YouTube on how to read level 2. So check that out. That episode's right there. And again, please take it slow. Trading is risky. I'll see you guys live streaming tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.